in 1992. It's grown over to 60 chapters in about 17 or 18 countries now, all the way from in Australia to Sweden, in Stockholm, a number of cities in India, and Malaysia, Japan, and North America. So, and it's a very heavily volunteer-led organization. And our main mission is to foster entrepreneurship, and we seek to cultivate and nurture the entrepreneurial ecosystem, as we believe that's the biggest instrument for creating prosperity. Now, TiE has 4 constituencies. One is charter members. How many charter members do we have in the audience? Could you please raise your hands? Okay, number of them. So these are highly accomplished entrepreneurs or professionals, who succeeded. So if you, towards the end, when we have some time, please network with them, as some of them could be your advisors, investors, mentors. And then second constituency is our members. It's open, it's 30 cents a day, so you can become a member, open to anyone. 30 cents a day, that's a discounted, actually it's 33 cents, Raj is looking at me, so what did you do? And then you get this wonderful food and wine, you can still drink if something is still left there. So, and the third constituency is our sponsors. So let me see if we have one of the sponsors in the panel, IBM. So a lot of IBM, SAP, a lot of venture capital firms, legal firms, and advisory firms, as well as other companies. So they sponsor and support us financially. And the last but not the least is our constituencies are volunteers. As I said, it's a heavily run, led by volunteers. In fact, you saw the folks at the registration desk, to our co-chairs, to our panelists, everyone is a volunteer, and myself included. So, which is really, and one of the things we do, as I said, is around the mission of fostering entrepreneurship, we hold a number of programs to help entrepreneurial ecosystems. So one of the main program we hold is TiECon, which is held in May, every year in the middle of May. So how many of you been to a TiECon? Okay, lots of you. So how many of you been to all the TiECons since it began? Another quiz. When was the first TiECon? Okay, 1994. So anyway, the TiECon last year was listed as one of the top 10 conferences for ideas and entrepreneurship by Worth magazine in later part, along with World Economic Forum and TED. So this was really a great accomplishment for about 300 to 400 volunteers who start working on it to organize it in May from December onwards. Like this year, December will start. So any of you wants to be a volunteer, please let us know. So let's give a big round of applause to all these volunteers. And good volunteers. So TiECon, and then we have programs around what's going on in the what are the trends such as cloud. So we have these highly accomplished co-chairs who hold these events once a quarter: social media, life sciences, mobile, and energy. And then there are some specific programs, like we had TiE Women's Forum a few days ago. We had these women entrepreneurs. So there was an event talking about their successes and inspiring, as well as then we have TiE Economic Growth Forum. So most of the programs are, as you can see, around the entrepreneurial ecosystem. And every year we try to launch some new programs, based on what's going on in the market. So 2 years ago we launched a program called TiE Angels, which is Venk is the chairperson. And TiE Angels is a 3-step process. How many of you are looking for funding? Few of you. So if you're looking for seed funding, you can go to our website, tiesv.org. And apply with information. It's all there, and then if you're called in, you'll be screened by a screening committee. And then every third Monday of every month, if you win, 3 of the companies present in front of 50 to 100 investors, and so far there are about 18 or 19 companies have been funded since we launched it about a couple of years ago. And then few other new programs are My Story, which is about entrepreneurs who have sold their company successfully recently for 100 million plus. In fact, we have one coming on October 2nd by founder and CTO of Byte Mobile. And similarly, we have coming. This is held every first Tuesday of every month most of the time. So those who would like to come, please do attend that. And then the other 2 new programs we launched was Pitch Fest, which was again in front of 3-4 VCs. You can come and do an elevator pitch. Actually, it's 8 or 10 entrepreneurs are randomly selected. And then the last one we recently launched was VC 101 program with one of our co-chairs for that sitting there, Kamal, who is a senior VP at Meru, and then another co-chair, Raj Galamudi, who is an investment director at Omidyar Networks. So with that, that's a synopsis of TiE. You can learn a lot about it at our website, tiesv.org. And now let me just introduce our co-chair, Pradeep Shankar, who is a vice president of new ventures at Ericsson, as well as our other co-chair, Alvin Sequeira, who couldn't be here. He's CTO and VP of Network and Security Services at VMware. And again, like I said, Pradeep has been a volunteer, and thanks to Pradeep for organizing a great panel. And with that, let's give them a big round of applause.
So, what's after exabyte? Very good. One person knew. What's after zettabyte? You can't answer it. Very good. And what's after yottabyte? Lots of ones. Exactly. The panel cannot answer these questions. I think we lost the...
Oh.
I really don't need this slide. So welcome to the CloudSig. As Naveen mentioned, my name is Pradeep Shankar. I'm co-chair of the CloudSig along with Alvin. My day job is with Ericsson. I am part of their central strategy office, part of a new group looking at early stage investments. And analytics is certainly an area that we have some interest in along with some other areas. So it's great to be, make this panel happen. It's fantastic to see this turnout. I know we had a lot of competition today. Dreamforce and all of that is going on, so really pleased to see a full house. Cloud in general has been very popular, so and including big data, and so pretty pleased to see this. Let's make it interactive and engaging and very productive for all of you. Okay, so why are we talking about big data? Clearly, just two reasons. I think it's pretty obvious that there's a data explosion going on, right? I mean, there is, in addition to whatever data whatever stuff that we are putting on our Facebook updates and everything else, machine-generated data is just tremendously exploding. And with all of this data, there's of course opportunity. There's a huge big data explosion, and that is clearly one major thing that's going on. And in order to either improve your business or to maximize revenue, you need to capitalize on this big data. The second part of it is that if you look at the trends, value has shifted from bandwidth and compute to data. And if you don't recognize that in your offerings, it's very dangerous. You have to be able to protect the value because it's really shifted. From an Ericsson perspective, let me just give you one example. As you take out your flip phone and your smartphone and browse a web page or update your Facebook status, it triggers a set of events across, starting with the radio network, through the mobile network, all the way to the internet, and that sequence of events is, if you can imagine, over millions of subscribers for a particular operator, translates to millions and millions of events that have to be correlated. If you're able to correlate those kinds of events, you're able to improve user experience, maximize revenue, and so on. So the big data problem is very real and very, very much an opportunity for companies that take advantage of it. So some of the things that we want to talk about today is, how do you actually deal with this data explosion? What are the applications within the various industry verticals that you can for analytics, and really where are the white spaces? And that's for you, for the entrepreneurs in the audience to discover. Maybe perhaps we're going to paint the landscape, but in terms of the opportunities are something that you have to think about. From a market standpoint, if you look at where things are today, the base set of tools and technologies that enable big data processing is in place. So for a few years it's been in place. So the real opportunities are in these verticals, also in perhaps transformative ways of dealing with the platform, things that can make a big difference the way you deal with the platform, make it easier to use and so on. So those are the two areas of opportunities that seem, for at least from my perspective, to exist. So that's hopefully what we find out from this evening's discussion. I will do a very quick intro of the panel. The way we want to structure this evening is to do a little bit of presentation with each panelist really talking about their particular area of expertise, and then we'll have we'll open it up for Q&A. I'll ask a few questions, and then of course the audience can ask a whole bunch of questions. So the first panelist, Mayank Bawa, is the president of Teradata, Aster R&D Labs. He started, co-founded Aster Data in 2005 and led it as a CEO from 2005 to 2010. It was an early entrant in the big data space, and really he brings a tremendous amount of expertise about the technology and the platform. Anil Inamdar is a big data consultant. He was with Visa. And so he has been a solutions architect for their central analytics environment. And he's seen the integration of these big data technologies with their existing technologies. So again, a lot of expertise in the financial sector that we can gain from. Piyush Malik is with IBM, director of IBM GBS. He leads the Worldwide Big Data Services Center of Excellence within IBM's Global Business Analytics and Optimization Office. He has also served on the board of directors of the International Association of Information and Data Quality. All of these folks are extremely accomplished, so I'm giving you a very short summary of their bios. Suzanne McCormick is with Guavus. Guavus is a startup that's focused in the telco space. She is Senior Director of Marketing for Guavus, responsible for go-to-market, positioning, and communications. She was also with IP Wireless and Grand Central Communications before that. And then we have STS Prasad from Walmart. He's a Vice President at Walmart Labs. And he was part of the Cosmix team that got acquired by Walmart. He was also at Evention and was at Junglee. Junglee got acquired by Amazon. So we have a tremendous panel with a lot of expertise in this space, and so quite delighted to have all of them today. As I said, the focus of the panel, we really want it to be on the applications, but you cannot really go there unless you have a sense for the technology and the platform and the basics around big data. And to start that off, we've asked Mayank to give us a little bit of a tutorial on the basics of big data.
Thank you. Thank you. So it's very nice to be here this evening. I'm going to give you a quick definition of the various concepts in big data and hopefully set the stage for the rest of the panelists as they talk about their applications in their verticals. So I'm with the Teradata Aster, and we build platforms, a lot of technologies for big data. So we've been witnessing this evolution of the big data space ever since its infancy in 2005 when we started our company. In fact, an interesting factoid is our marketing team coined the term big data. That sparked a lot of interest among a lot of people. And soon big data almost stood for everything, which is interesting. So big data, if you think about it, the growth of big data has been very systematic. It's been very obvious, but it has crept up on us suddenly. We've been collecting data because we put in all the computer systems to run businesses. And very soon, all the touch points of consumers were also run by computer systems. And so, of course, a lot of data is now being collected. Every time we touch a customer, we are able to collect logs and content that the customer interfaces with us. In addition, all the business systems are run by computers, so all the events that happen are now being captured as machine-generated data. And so suddenly there's an explosion of data all across the enterprise, right? And so this phenomenon is, of course, very interesting. Data exists everywhere in the enterprise. All we need to do is agree on a definition that this is big data. So different people use different definitions for big data, but it essentially boils down to there's a lot of data. It's very differently structured. It's not uniform. It's not only relational. There's lots of different formats of data, and people want to do rich queries on it, not just SQL queries. Variety of rich, interesting queries to understand what is locked up in all these bytes of data. Correct. And because data is of a variety of formats, and because it's so huge, we found that traditional relational databases are not able to store all of this data, and traditional tools are not able to operate at scale. This kind of shift always happens whenever any problem grows by a magnitude or more. We need to reinvent the systems, we need to reinvent the tools and technology so that we can come back and solve the same problems all over again. So that is essentially what is happening in this big data space. A lot of data tools are now needed so that we can use all of this data that is available to us. And this data is available from everywhere, from sensors that monitor interesting events, from jet engines that run in jumbo jets, and they collect all the events that happen in a flight going from New York City to San Francisco. So all of that data is now being generated so that they can understand what faults happen when they happen, and build a more safer, reliable jet engine with fewer operational costs. Right? It happens in the Twitter feeds, which we are all exposed to because we are consumers. So we ourselves contribute to generating a lot of data. There's an amazing amount of data out there, and now the question is how do we tap into it for business value? So a lot of definition of big data is around the technology. The technology says that these data sets are new. There's a huge volume of it. There's a lot of variety in this data. There's relational data, there's documents data, there's SMS messages, network logs, a variety of data. It's all not expressible in a single format. And because it's huge and it's growing very fast, of course, the velocity is very high because data is now coming at us at an amazing pace. It's coming at us so fast that people really struggle to cope up with all the noise and the signals that come together at this pace. Right? So that's the technical definition of big data. I think this technical definition for our practical purposes is all wrong. Because the most important definition is it doesn't matter how big or small the data is. What matters is how much value you can add to the end business. Right? Because who cares about data if it's not adding business value? Right? So it's all about value. Any application that you write that uses data, irrespective of whether it's small or big, you can use the term big data as long as it is adding value to the end business. Right? And the value piece is the most interesting, and the value piece is what the panel will be dealing with. Right? I think that all this excitement of big data, all the work that we have done since 2005, the single most interesting piece is when we go and work with customers and we are able to influence the business so that they can make decisions faster based on data that they were not able to do before. Right? This ability to use data directly in running your business is the most exciting part. And there are tons and tons of anecdotal stories that you can start hearing today because people have started using big data technologies to influence the business. But I think in the next few years, all these anecdotes will actually become case studies. And then the real explosion of big data will happen because then they will become replicable and become systematically dispersed throughout all the enterprises that exist. So the way we think about it is there's a big data value pyramid. Right? And if you think about big data, right from the point of capture to the data to the point at which data is used to influence business, there are many layers of tools and technologies that need to be built. We need to go in and build the right kind of tools that perform the right kind of functions at scale, at volume, at velocity, so that ultimately big data can influence business decisions. So for any budding entrepreneur that exists out there, or anybody who wants to find a value proposition in this space, all you need to do is look at this pyramid and figure out what your specialization is going to be. And because the field is so new, you can go and build a tool or a technology that will help companies deliver value from data faster, because you've solved an important problem in this pyramid, in this pipeline. So this entire space is open to disruption, right? Starting from cheap scalable storage, building good file systems that can scale to very large volumes of data, doing deduplication of the data so that you're not storing the same bytes a million times and creating more data. To taking all this data, doing transformation so that data can be consumed, to doing analytics on top of it or running an application. This entire pyramid is open for innovation and building good businesses around here. I think this is one of the most exciting spaces. It's like the wild, wild west. Anything you do will have value. So why is this true? So this is true because there is really a shift that has happened from the traditional world of databases and data warehouses to this new world of big data. So in the old businesses, businesses would say, what question do I want to ask? And then the IT organization would go and collect exactly the data that is needed to answer that question. So data collection would happen post facto. Once you have asked the question, then you go collect the data and you figure out the answer from the data that you collected. And of course, a lot of time would go by, but ultimately the value would be delivered. So now, because cheap storage is available so much, and that tools and the beginnings of technologies are available, solutions like Hadoop and so on, now companies can afford to capture as much as they want, right? As much as your budget allows you to. You could put in a system to collect all the events that are going on. And then whenever business wants to ask a question, they can go inspect and discover the data that is already stored in these big data storage platforms to find their own answers, right? So the concept of using data has shifted from directional, I give you a direction, you collect the data and give me the answer, to discovery. I have all the data, tell me what question you want to ask and you can go ahead. And this shift is very it's very disruptive. It allows you to build all kinds of applications and use cases that were not possible before, because all use cases cannot be forecasted ahead of time. So in this shift, of course, there are many anecdotes that are possible. We have worked with several companies, and we go in and we look at data that has been sitting around there or is easily captured, and within a couple of weeks we start delivering interesting value. So I'm going to use a couple of anecdotes just to explain how all these big data elements can come and play together. Okay. So for example, at a financial bank, there are you can touch a customer across many touch points. So you can receive emails from him. You can collect all the ATM events that happen when a customer goes and withdraws money, or he walks into a bank and the branch teller manager can record all the data that has gone on. So then it becomes interesting to do analytics such as use all the data that is available and figure out, can you predict when a customer is going to close his account and move away from the bank? Right? What kind of event predictors lead a person to leave and go to a competitive bank? And this is very important because I think banks spend about $700 to $800 just getting a new customer. Right? So if you can save existing customers, that is good. So the tools now exist to understand what are the causation events sorted on a timeline that happened that ultimately led to account closure. You can inspect these events, you can figure out, eliminate the noise and figure out what really happened. And then make a firm decision. For example, one of the patterns that could be found is if a person is really insistent about a fee reversal. He sends you an email, says, please reverse my fee. You don't reverse his fee. He calls up a customer center guy and says, please reverse my fee. He says, no. He goes to a branch teller manager and says, please reverse my fee. Branch teller manager says, sorry, no. Guess what? He's going to walk out, right? But now you have the data to understand whether how many customers you are losing because of this event sequence. And in some cases, you might find only 1% of them are you are losing, and in any case, they are low value customers. Well, then they are good customers for you to lose and the competing bank to gain, right? So you don't do anything about it. But now you can make events at analysis at this granularity, which was really not possible before, because now all the tools and the applications are starting to become applicable. So I think there are many incidents, anecdotes that can be told. I think the panel will dive into some interesting anecdotes. I just want to end with a summary. This space is amazingly exciting. A lot of this space is getting reinvented. This is a great time to be an entrepreneur and build value here. Because new analytic techniques will be needed, new tools will be needed to manage all of this data. And whenever you build these tools, just focus on the business value. If you deliver even a percent of big value, small percentages of value from big data, because the data is so large and the anecdotes are replicable, ultimately the end value that you create will be huge, enormous. Those are my insights. Thank you very much.
Suzanne, if you can tell us a little bit about Labas and the telco sector and the opportunities there, that'd be great.
So first of all, thanks very much for having us. We're excited to be here, and I'm excited. I think it's a very interesting panel. One of the things that I noticed when we were back in the room is that I think we've assembled a nice variety of different verticals and how we're all leveraging big data for our customers in our specific areas of expertise. As Pradeep mentioned, Labas is really focused on the telco space and in the carriers. The company's been around since 2006 when our founder was doing a project for Sprint Labs, and at the time was doing analytics on data that would arrive on a FedEx truck and lots of tapes, and decided that there had to be a better way. So this slide really echoes a lot, I think, what Mayank just said, which is, there's all these different, definitions of big data, but basically it's growing really fast. There's a ton of it, and there's a lot of different varieties. And with that, we at Labas have developed an architecture which is an end-to-end platform. And then we work with our customers in a very collaborative fashion to develop applications to really address their very specific business problems. So that's something that we feel kind of sets us apart and has resonated really well with our customers. So what we do and how we approach working with our customers is our platform really sits in the middle. So these telcos have network data that's constantly streaming on the network. And I think, Pradeep gave the example of, you're setting Facebook, and then there's a lot of data that's going on in the background to the mobile infrastructure and to the RAN and so forth. And all of that has to be correlated. And at the same time, you have all this data that's been in storage. And what we're doing is creating a platform in these applications that are fusing and integrating data together so that the line of business users now have access to information insights in a much more timely fashion. And the way that it works with us is that a lot of our customers will start using the platform for one particular department. And we might start off at the network level, and they might bring us in and say, we have a data roaming problem. How do we better monetize our networks, or how do we prevent people from roaming off other networks so we don't lose that revenue? And then what ends up happening is the marketing group hears about what we're doing, and the customer care group hears about what we're doing. And we've been working with our customers in a very iterative fashion to develop applications based on their business problems in different areas of the enterprise. So I was just going to go through a couple of different examples of some of the applications and some of the opportunities that we've been seeing, and how telcos are leveraging big data. And I think this is new for all of us, and I think that there's a lot of very exciting opportunities out there. I think we're sort of at the crawl stage, and then we'll slowly move into the walk and then the run stage. And I think that's when it's going to get really exciting. And for a lot of these carriers, they now have the opportunity to transition from being voice companies to really being data-driven, innovative companies where they can offer these very new, very innovative products and services that they have been doing previously. So, really getting into one-to-one marketing and just coming up with some really interesting things. So, the first example I was just going to mention is, as Pradeep mentioned, we do work with all of the major carriers in the U.S. We are expanding internationally, and then also with cable providers. But one of the things that we've been seeing is, we have all this great data on our network. We have subscriber data and application data and device data. Wouldn't it be great if we could mash it all up together so that we could get insights? And some folks, they use DPI, but the reality is it's not providing the end-to-end visibility and the cross-silo visibility that they need to be able to generate some of these insights. So, for example, iPhone 5 just came out. What's it going to do to my network, right? So let's sit down and develop an application to figure out where my network is going to be most congested, and then I can, add capacity as needed and so forth. So we're developing a lot of these very custom, agile applications. Typically, they're developed in 45 days or less. So our customers are actually seeing a very quick time to value in terms of being able to make better business decisions, because that's ultimately what the goal is. And again, they're able to slice and dice the information to best suit their needs. So whether they need to find out what does a particular device do to my network, what is that particular application doing to my network. So we're working with them in this fashion, and they're actually having insights that they've never had before. So it's very exciting for us, and I think it's been very exciting for them. Another example is we work with a lot of the backbone providers here in the U.S. Right now, they really don't have any visibility to knowing, is this customer's traffic going around the world, or are they just going across the region? And now they're able to better determine which customers are most profitable and can deliver better pricing packages based on their traffic patterns and which customers, maybe are sending more traffic internationally, and they should be billed accordingly, versus the customers who are just regional. And what's interesting is they've actually been able to profile and pick up new customers based on seeing what customers are on their networks. So again, they're able now for the first time to be able to offer differentiated pricing. They're able to optimize their network to deliver better customer service. And I think in general, they've been able to find these insights again in a very quick amount of time, because the applications that we're developing, they're very agile. We can build them quickly, they can see the insight, then we can go on to the next application and walk from there. And I would say the next one, which is also very interesting, especially in the carrier space, is around churn. Obviously, the cost to acquire a new customer is significantly greater than keeping one. And anything that can help boost the customer experience and reduce churn is a welcome, a valuable asset for the carriers, especially in this age where it's very easy to jump from one provider to the next. So we are working with our customers in very specific fashions to understand which set of customers are more likely to churn. Which customers, perhaps call customer care more than others. Which customers are, there was a network outage, how do I proactively send an alert to those customers to cut down on the amount of calls that are going into customer care? Every call into customer care is about $6 and escalates from there all the way up to a threshold. I think it's about maybe $300. So if we can figure out ways that the carriers and the customer care group can be proactive about communicating with their customers, that is actually having real impact on their bottom line. So these are just a few of the examples that we're seeing with the carriers. I think there's many more to come. I just kind of chose a handful. I think the big opportunity for carriers right now is a lot of this given care and customer experience. Obviously, network optimization, network planning, and then also with marketing. And one of the things that we're seeing is that as we expand internationally is, for example, in APAC and EMEA, they want to start off with more of a marketing-driven application, whereas in the US, it's been much more starting off with the network side. The nice thing about our platform is it's one platform, you can use it for multiple applications. So it's something that's been very well received with our customers. I think that the more they're realizing what they can do with the data, the more excited they're becoming, and there's more opportunities. And I think that there's opportunities down the road to work with our customers and possibly offering hosting benefits to, maybe some of the tier 2 customers into their enterprise.
So Piyush is with IBM, and as you all know, IBM does everything. But I asked him to focus on just the government vertical and the healthcare vertical, because I think both of those, healthcare with 17% of our GDP is, I think, an interesting opportunity to optimize, and of course, government, the federal government as well, is very much in the news, as you all know. So it's good spaces to look at.
Thanks, Pradeep. Glad to be here. I think this is the first time I'm standing on the other side of the audience at TiE. Big data, everybody has been talking about since last year. It's been like a buzzword. It's no longer a buzzword, as Mike mentioned. You saw an application in telco space from Suzanne as well. But there are a couple of points I want to bring about here. How we from IBM think of big data as not just being Hadoop, but a much, much bigger platform where we talk about big data at rest, as well as big data in motion, and a bunch of other things that help you integrate big data into the enterprise. Because essentially, it's not about just data. It's about getting value out of it. And Mike already touched upon it. So the discussion today will focus mainly on a couple of use cases, a couple of industries here. So the point here is, as you can see in this diagram out here, we look at how traditionally people have been collecting data in their data warehouses and BI systems, and you continue to do that. But unless you integrate that with the tons of fast arriving data from sensors, the big data that is arriving from the Facebook feeds or Twitter feeds, basically lets you be closer to your customer, improve customer centricity, and help improve the outcomes that your business wants. What are these outcomes? These outcomes are in terms of creating value for your stakeholders. So the point is integrating structured with unstructured is very important in the entire thing. And then the experimentation that today is happening is good, but that alone in a silo will not yield results. And this, I'm not making it up. We recently did a survey worldwide. About 1,200 people responded from world over, and that study is going to be published in 15 days. But a preview of that is about 47% of the customers today are just experimenting with big data. They are enamored by the hype, but they want to see what's the value in it, so they are doing some pilots. And only 6% of the users today are actually in production. Now, many of the Silicon Valley companies may be amongst those 6% users, but if you look at the entire gamut of companies around there, they're just beginning to get started, and it's a very exciting space to be. And that's the preamble I would start with. And another thing that we are seeing is the traditional definition of big data, of volume of data, big velocity, the speed at which it comes, and the variety, structured, unstructured, images, audio files, videos, whatnot. All of that is one thing. And then what we are also observing is another V, veracity, which is the data in doubt. And this is something which we found that we have to deal with. We cannot ignore this component or this aspect of big data. And we've also found in our studies and our work with about 100 to 150 odd customers around the world that unless you are able to deal with this uncertainty in data, you cannot expect to get the full value out of your data. And another factoid I want to mention. Traditionally, whenever a data is generated in either a transaction system like a SAP or Oracle, ERP system, or any of the custom applications, traditionally, the data doesn't get used or looked at more than 50% of the time. You're just leaving that data aside. Why? Either because you can't get to it, the executives are still making decisions on intuition, or they don't trust that data. So that trustworthiness of data has to be improved as well. So that's the point I want to make here. And then you can see here, we are seeing application and real tangible value coming out of some of our early engagements with, be it in the government sector, be it with electrical utility, where you are able to analyze data in a fast manner. In fact, smarter meters, basically you are able to get multiple readings in a few minutes space, and basically what that does is enables the utility to get idea of your usage patterns, and you are able to predict the demand-supply gap, and then variable pricing of electricity is possible. So that, and let me move on to healthcare space. We've got a very good, I don't know if internet works here or not, but if I'm able to, I'll show you a video here. There is a very, if you go and search on YouTube, IBM Data Baby, you'll be able to see this video. How working with a hospital in Canada, we were able to take all the data points that were coming, thousands of signals coming from the body of a baby, were analyzed, and by doing that real-time analysis of data, they were able to predict the chances that the baby would contract a disease in the hospital itself at least 24 hours before the disease happened. And that's the value of big data. It's saving lives. There are telco examples. I won't dwell upon that. The financial sector examples from Stock Exchange, and retail examples as well, where you are able to increase the share of the wallet. You are able to increase centricity to your customer, understand your customer, segment the customer better, and be able to offer products suited to the taste of the customer. So let's move on and see some more examples all over the place. The key lies in analyzing all